When the dollar collapses and your bank account means nothing, the person with toilet paper becomes wealthier than the person with gold bars. That's not a joke. That's basic economics in a broken world. You can't eat gold. You can't sanitize wounds with Bitcoin. You can't start fires with stock certificates. But you can trade a box of matches for a week's worth of food when desperation sets in. Most people prepare wrong. They spend thousands on guns and tactical gear while ignoring the 10-cent items that actually keep humans alive. They stockpile freeze-dried meals but forget water purification tablets. They buy expensive survival knives but skip the dollar store lighters. And when a crisis hits, they realize too late that survival isn't about looking cool. It's about solving the basic problems that kill people first. Here's what actually happens when currency dies. The first week, people use their savings and credit cards, hoping things return to normal. The second week, cash becomes king as electronic systems fail. The third week, cash becomes worthless as stores empty and nobody wants paper that can't buy anything. By week 4, we're back to the oldest economic system in history: barter. And in a barter economy, the person with useful goods controls the market. This isn't theory, this is history. Every major currency collapse follows the same pattern. Germany in the 1920s, Zimbabwe in the 2000s, Venezuela in the 2010s. The specifics change, but the fundamentals remain identical. When money dies, necessities become currency. The question isn't whether this happens. The question is whether you'll be ready when it does. Let me show you 23 items that cost almost nothing today but become worth their weight in gold tomorrow. These aren't luxury goods. They're not fancy or Instagram-worthy. They're the boring, practical things that solve real problems in collapsed societies. And because most people ignore them, they create massive opportunities for anyone smart enough to stockpile now. 1. Water purification tablets. You die in 3 days without water. Not 3 weeks, not 3 months, 72 hours before your organs shut down. Yet most preppers focus on food storage and completely ignore water purification. That's backwards. You can survive weeks without food. You can't survive a week without clean water. The average person needs 1 gallon per day just for drinking. Add cooking, hygiene, and wound care, and you're looking at 3 gallons daily. A family of 4 burns through 360 gallons monthly. Where exactly are you storing that? Your water heater holds maybe 50 gallons. That's less than 2 weeks for one household. Water purification tablets solve this problem. They're tiny, lightweight, and turn contaminated water into drinkable water. A bottle of 50 tablets costs about $8 and purifies 50 gallons. When municipal systems fail and bottled water disappears, these tablets become more valuable than cash. The barter potential is massive. Everyone needs water. Not everyone prepared for water. That gap creates opportunity. A single bottle of purification tablets trades for food, medicine, or other critical supplies. Stock dozens of bottles. They weigh nothing, last for years, and might save your life or make you wealthy in a cashless economy. 2. Bic lighters. Fire equals survival. This isn't poetry. It's thermodynamics. Fire cooks food, purifies water, provides warmth, creates light, and offers psychological comfort when everything else has collapsed. Yet most households have maybe 2 lighters sitting in a junk drawer. Bic lighters are engineering miracles disguised as impulse buys. Each one provides roughly 3,000 lights. That's 3,000 chances to start fires, sterilize tools, or signal for help. At 50 cents each, you'd be crazy not to buy 100 of them. That's $50 for potentially 300,000 fires. When heating systems fail and stoves stop working, the person who can create fire controls comfort and survival. A single lighter trades for meals, medicine, or shelter. 5 lighters might buy you a week's worth of food. The math is simple. Cheap today, priceless tomorrow. Stock them everywhere. Your car, your home, your emergency kit, your pockets. Redundancy eliminates failure points. And in a barter economy, lighters become currency. Everyone needs fire. Not everyone has the means to create it. 3. Matches. Lighters fail in extreme cold. Fuel evaporates, flints wear down. This is where waterproof matches become essential. Stormproof matches burn in rain, snow, and wind. They don't care about your weather problems. Strike, flame, fire. That simplicity saves lives. A 50-pack costs about $10. Each match burns for 15 seconds, long enough to ignite tinder even in damp conditions. Store them in waterproof containers in multiple locations. Never rely on a single fire-starting method. The barter value exists because matches solve an immediate problem. Hand someone a match when they're freezing, and you've created gratitude and leverage. Small item, massive impact. That's the pattern you'll see throughout this list. 4. Batteries. Electricity powers modern life until it doesn't. Then batteries power survival. Flashlights, radios, medical devices, emergency equipment all become useless paperweights without stored energy. Most people have random batteries scattered around their home like loose change that buys nothing. Generic batteries from warehouse stores perform almost identically to premium brands at a fraction of the cost. A 100-pack of AA batteries costs about $25. That's 25 cents per unit of portable electricity. Alkaline batteries store for years in cool, dry conditions. The tactical advantage is clear. While others fumble in darkness, you're operating at full capacity. While others can't power their radios to hear emergency broadcasts, you're receiving information. Capability has value. Batteries enable capability. Therefore, batteries have value. In a barter economy, batteries enable other items to function. A radio without batteries is worthless. Add batteries, and it becomes a lifeline to information. That transformation is worth trading for. Stock batteries in all common sizes. You'll need them, and you'll be able to trade them. 5. Flashlights. Darkness is dangerous. When power dies, visibility dies with it. People trip, injure themselves, can't navigate, can't work, can't defend effectively in complete darkness. Light becomes both a survival tool and psychological comfort. Dollar store flashlights work fine for stockpiling. You don't need tactical gear with strobe modes and laser sights. You need reliable illumination that costs $2 and lives in every room. Buy 30 of them. When the grid fails, distribute them to family and neighbors. Phones die when chargers don't work. Flashlights with batteries keep working. That reliability has value. A $5 flashlight trades for much more than $5 worth of goods when darkness breeds panic. Light breeds calm. That psychological value multiplies the economic value. 6. Bleach sodium. Hypochlorite kills nearly everything. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, mold, and most pathogens that cause deadly diseases. In collapse scenarios, bleach is brutally effective and criminally undervalued. 8 drops of unscented bleach per gallon makes water drinkable. Diluted bleach turns contaminated surfaces into sterile workspaces. It's essential for laundry when you're re-wearing clothes for weeks. This isn't Pinterest homesteading. This is chemical warfare against invisible enemies that cause cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. A gallon costs about $4. Stock 5 to 10 gallons minimum. Rotate annually as potency degrades over time. When antibacterial soap disappears and hand sanitizer becomes rare, bleach remains the chemical hammer. People will trade food for the ability to disinfect water. They'll negotiate heavily for something that prevents their family from dying of preventable diseases. Bleach becomes survival insurance and economic ammunition. Just don't tell them how cheap it was. 7. Toilet paper. When COVID hit, what disappeared first? Not guns, not ammunition. Toilet paper vanished instantly. That tells you everything about human priorities. Sanitation matters more than comfort. Humans will trade premium resources for bathroom dignity. A roll won't stop bullets, but it prevents infections, maintains morale, and trades surprisingly well when alternatives are leaves or newspaper. The average household uses about 100 rolls annually. Double that for preparedness. Store it properly in dry locations. Yes, this seems silly until you're 3 weeks into collapse and rationing squares like they're gold leaf. The barter angle is interesting. Toilet paper balances necessity with luxury. It's bulky but lightweight, cheap but valuable in a collapsed economy. People will trade for it because the alternative is genuinely unpleasant. That discomfort creates opportunity. 8. Trash bags. Heavy-duty contractor bags aren't just containers. They're waterproofing, shelter material, rain ponchos, blackout curtains, and waste containment when sewer systems fail. At $20 per box of 30, they're criminally cheap for the versatility they provide. Stock multiple sizes. Kitchen bags for daily waste, large bags for heavy-duty use. Contractor bags for construction-grade problems. When municipal services fail and trash collection stops, you'll need containment solutions. The barter value isn't obvious until people truly need them. A trash bag sealing a broken window is worth whatever a family has to trade. A trash bag keeping sleeping bags dry is worth a meal. Utility to cost ratio makes them premium barter items. 9. Zip ties. One-way ratcheting mechanisms that create permanent bonds in seconds without tools. Engineering elegance packaged as bulk pocket change. Buy them in assorted sizes. Small for electronics, medium for repairs, large for structural applications. They withstand weather, don't loosen, and solve hundreds of problems. Fence repairs, shelter construction, equipment securing, temporary hinges, broken latches, loose wiring. A bag of 100 costs about $10. That's 10 cents per problem solved. Barter leverage is moderate but consistent. Fastening solutions are always in demand. Zip ties provide instant solutions. They're portable, universally useful, and demonstrate value immediately. 10. Duct tape. If it moves and shouldn't, duct tape. If it doesn't move and should, WD-40. That's prepper philosophy distilled into comedy, but the core truth holds. Duct tape fixes almost everything until permanent repairs become possible. It seals leaks, repairs tears, reinforces structures, splints injuries, patches clothing, and waterproofs connections. Stock multiple types. Silver duct tape for general use, Gorilla tape for heavy-duty applications. Different tapes serve different purposes. Everyone breaks things. Everyone needs repairs. Duct tape provides solutions when hardware stores close and repair services evaporate. That consistent need creates consistent barter opportunities. 11 paracord 550 paracord with 7 internal strands. Each strand holds 50 pounds. The outer sheath handles 550. Special forces carry it, preppers worship it, but paracord isn't the only option. Jute twine for lighter applications. Bank line for fishing and trapping. 100 feet of paracord costs about $10. That's pennies per foot for material that builds shelters, creates trap lines, enables repairs, and provides tensile strength for countless applications. Learn basic knots. Combine knowledge with cordage for maximum advantage. 12. Super glue molecular bonding in your pocket. Glue fixes broken items without fasteners or specialized tools. Just chemistry. Super glue bonds in seconds. Epoxy creates permanent repairs. Different adhesives handle different materials and stress loads. A tube of super glue costs $2 and fixes 50 things. Broken glasses, cracked containers, split handles, separated soles, torn gear. When replacement isn't possible and duct tape isn't appropriate, adhesives save equipment. The barter value exists but isn't obvious until someone needs a specific repair. Then it's invaluable. A tube of super glue fixes critical equipment and trades well because the alternative is non-functional gear. 13. Emergency blankets. Those crinkly silver rectangles that look like alien technology are actually NASA engineering repurposed for survival. They reflect 90% of body heat, weigh almost nothing, pack microscopically small, and cost about $1.50 each. Buy them by the dozen. Stash them everywhere. Bug-out bags, vehicles, emergency kits, coat pockets. When exposure becomes life-threatening, these thin sheets decide survival versus death. They also work as ground covers, rainproof barriers, signaling devices, and improvised shelter components. The barter angle is interesting. They're cheap items dismissed until crisis strikes. Then cold weather hits, power fails, heating systems die, and suddenly these space blankets become the most desirable item in the neighborhood. Stock them for pennies, trade them for meaningful goods. 14. Hand sanitizer. Alcohol-based hand sanitizer kills bacteria and viruses in seconds through chemical disruption of cell membranes. When soap and clean water become scarce, sanitizer maintains basic hygiene and prevents disease transmission. COVID proved sanitizer's value and demonstrated how quickly it disappears during panic buying. Stock aggressively before crisis hits. Small bottles for portability. Large refill containers for long-term use. Minimum 60% alcohol content for effectiveness. Everyone understands germ theory now. Everyone wants sanitation solutions in a collapsed economy. Hand sanitizer offers both in portable form. Small bottles trade well because they're individually useful. This isn't just hygiene, it's disease prevention packaged for exchange. 15 wet wipes. Portable showers disguised as disposable convenience. When water becomes precious and bathing impossible, wipes maintain basic cleanliness and prevent skin problems, infections, and psychological deterioration from feeling filthy. Stock unscented varieties for versatility. Baby wipes work fine. Generic brands too. Moisture content and disposability matter more than premium marketing. A package of 80 costs about $4. That's pocket change for sanitation in brutal collapse reality. People will trade for cleanliness because it becomes a luxury when hygiene infrastructure fails. Wet wipes solve uncomfortable problems nobody discusses but everyone experiences. 16. Instant coffee. Caffeine isn't survival critical. It won't purify water or start fires. But try telling that to coffee addicts. When supply chains break and Starbucks closes, caffeine withdrawal causes headaches, irritability, fatigue, and decreased cognitive function. Crisis demands maximum mental clarity. Instant coffee solves this cheaply. It stores indefinitely and requires only hot water. Stock jars for personal use and individual packets for barter. Coffee represents normalcy. That morning ritual persisting through chaos provides psychological comfort that has real value. The barter leverage is interesting. Coffee isn't life-saving, but highly desired. Addicts will trade significantly for caffeine. That desire to necessity ratio creates profitable trading opportunities. Stock it, trade it strategically, and profit from collapse addictions without judgment. 17. Bar soap is chemistry that prevents disease. When hand sanitizer runs out, bar soap remains the fundamental hygiene tool humans have used for millennia. It stores longer than liquid alternatives, doesn't leak, and costs almost nothing. The equation is simple. No soap equals disease transmission. Disease transmission equals illness. Illness equals decreased survival probability. Therefore, soap equals survival. This isn't complicated. It's basic public health ignored while preppers chase flashier equipment. Barter potential exists because everyone needs soap eventually, not immediately critical like water or fire, but value grows as cleanliness deteriorates. Stock abundantly, trade strategically. Hygiene infrastructure collapse creates demand. Basic sanitation products become valuable. 18. Propane and butane energy storage in portable form. Propane for cooking and heating. Butane for backpack stoves. Different applications require different fuels. Strategic preppers stock both. Propane tanks store indefinitely. 20-pound tanks power grills and heaters for weeks. Butane cartridges power compact stoves perfect for indoor use without carbon monoxide concerns. Each cartridge costs $2 and provides an hour of cooking time. Fuel enables capability. Capability has measurable value. The challenge is that fuel is heavy and bulky, making transport difficult. Trade value exists but remains local. Stock fuel for personal use and trade excess carefully. 19. Salt sodium chloride built empires and financed wars. Salt preserves food through osmotic dehydration, killing bacteria and enabling long-term food storage. It's essential for electrolyte balance and makes bland food tolerable. Stock it in bulk. 20-pound bags cost $10 and store indefinitely if kept dry. Iodized salt for nutrition. Canning salt for food preservation. Different types serve different purposes. The barter value exists because salt enables food storage. Without preservation methods, meat spoils in days. With salt, it lasts months. That transformation from perishable to preserved has significant economic value when refrigeration doesn't exist. Salt was currency for millennia. It'll be currency again. 20 medical supplies injuries don't stop during disasters. They increase under stress and improvised conditions. Emergency rooms close, ambulances stop running. First aid becomes the difference between recoverable and catastrophic. Stock comprehensively. Adhesive bandages, gauze pads, medical tape, antiseptic for cleaning wounds, butterfly closures for deep cuts, trauma supplies like quick clot for severe bleeding. Everything necessary for field medicine. The barter value for medical supplies is massive. Injury is universal, and suffering always motivates. People trade almost anything for treatment when they're hurt, and help isn't coming. Stock medical supplies aggressively, learn first aid, and combine knowledge with equipment for maximum effectiveness. 21. Pain relievers. Modern humans have zero pain tolerance. We pop pills for headaches, backaches, and minor discomfort. This creates massive vulnerability when pharmacies close. Ibuprofen, acetaminophen, and aspirin aren't luxuries. They're the difference between functional and useless when injuries happen. Stock aggressively, hundreds of doses per person. Generic versions cost pennies but deliver identical results. A 500-count bottle costs about $10. That's 2 cents per dose of operational capacity. Pain relief will be among the first shortages. People suffering will trade almost anything for temporary relief. A bottle trades for significant goods because the alternative is debilitating pain. That's leverage worth exploiting in a cashless economy. 22 N95 masks. Invisible enemies kill more humans than visible ones. Bacteria, viruses, smoke, particulates, and airborne toxins don't care about your tactical gear. They care about filtered air versus contaminated atmosphere in your lungs. N95 respirators filter 95% of airborne particles down to 0.3 microns. When COVID hit, these masks disappeared in hours. That taught us about supply chain fragility. Stock boxes, not individual masks. A 20-count box costs about $20. That's $1 per potential life-saving barrier. When the next pandemic hits or wildfires choke cities, you'll have protection while others improvise with bandanas that filter nothing. 23. Alcohol. Alcohol does nothing good physiologically. It dehydrates you, damages your liver, and dulls your mind. Survival demands peak condition, but collapsed stress drives desperate coping mechanisms. For others, not you. If you can leave it alone, alcohol becomes a premium barter item. No need for top-shelf liquor. Cheap whiskey equals finest scotch when the grid goes down. Stock small bottles for trading flexibility. People crave psychological relief from constant stress. Alcohol delivers that relief. The barter dynamics are straightforward. You're not drinking it, you're leveraging others' need. Is it moral? Questionable. Is it strategic? Absolutely. A $20 bottle of vodka trades for $200 worth of supplies when people are desperate for comfort. 25 items, most cost less than a tank of gas. Total investment may be $500 to $1,000 depending on quantity. That's less than 1 month's rent, less than a used iPhone, less than a weekend vacation. But here's what it actually buys: water security, fire capability, respiratory protection, pain management, hygiene maintenance, repair capacity, medical readiness, energy independence. Most importantly, barter leverage when currency fails and goods become the medium of exchange. The best survival plan is implemented before collapse arrives. Not during crisis when stores are empty and prices are insane. Not after currency dies and cash becomes worthless. Before, now, today. Stock these items. Store them properly. Learn how to use them. And when currency dies, you won't be rich in dollars. You'll be rich in the things that actually matter. The things people need to survive. The things they'll trade everything for. That's real wealth in a collapsed economy.